my name is Susan McPherson, and I'm based in now I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. When I was 21, back in 1986, on New Year's Eve, going into 1987, I lost my mom to a horrible hotel fire. 97 people were killed, and the hotel was set on fire by a disgruntled employee. My mom and dad had been on holiday in Puerto Rico during the Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's week that many people do go on holiday. And my mom had loved to play the slot machine, so my dad had dropped her off because he was not fond of casinos. And dropped her off, and an hour later, the casino was set on fire, and then it spread to the hotel. And obviously, a number of guests who were also staying at the hotel perished. I sound so calm and kind of just like I'm walking through the motions when I tell this story, and it's not that it doesn't still pain me to do so or pain me to think about it, but it was so long ago at this time, we're talking almost 30 years, that I've learned how to deal with it. Having experienced something like that at such a young age really became a fabric of who I am. The first year, I was in a state of shock. I'd go to sleep at night and it would seem like it was just a dream. And then I'd wake up in the morning and it would be all over, and that she'd come home. I tried to immerse myself in just the regular day-to-day of life, but I'd say that first year, being in a state of shock was how I dealt with it. I remember so many people giving me books about the 7 stages of grief, or the 5 stages of grief, or here's how to get over the death of a loved one. One book that I found to be the most helpful out of all the materials people gave me to read, magazine articles, essays, this was long before the days of blogs, so the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People, by Rabbi Harold Kushner, was one of the best pieces of material that I read. In his book, talks about sometimes there's just no sense, there's no rhyme or reason for why things happen, and it's not your fault, and it's not somebody else's fault, and you can't blame yourself. And that book gave you the freedom to admit that sometimes things just suck. And I found that to be much more helpful than basically telling me how I was going to feel. This allowed me to just feel. For any of you dealing with any kind of tragedy, I would highly recommend that book. My father, who survived, and he's no longer, but the pain that he must have to have gone through oftentimes gave me strength. Just the fact that he was able to carry on helped me. Fast forward to now, and if I look back at over all these years, so many people I know have experienced grief and loss, whether it's a parent dying, whether it's a sibling or a significant other or a friend. And somehow I think sometimes I've been through it. I can help them. I can at least share with them what I now know, and that is, although the pain is with you your entire life, it does get easier. It's interesting, back in 9/11, when 9/11 happened, and so many innocent people lost their lives, and innocent families had to carry on without their loved ones, I had already felt I had experienced my own 9/11. And so even then, when I would meet people who lost someone in that horrible tragedy, I did feel at least I could give them, again, that same security that eventually it will get easier. And that sometimes when you face the absolute worst thing, which quite frankly is when you're losing somebody you love, it's the worst it'll ever be. And no matter what you face going forward, it will never be as bad. And whether there may be comfort in that, it's something to consider. I also would make sure that I surrounded myself with people that I loved, and that I also wasn't afraid to talk about it. Oftentimes when people suffer tragedies, and they tend to keep it inside and assume that, nobody's going to care, nobody's going to be there. And I found that if I did talk about it, people would be much more supportive. I would highly recommend that when people come to you and ask you about it, that you don't stifle them. Oftentimes for whatever reason, would want to make everybody else feel okay. And so I would tell everybody, I'm okay, don't worry. And in retrospect, it probably would have been better if I just said, no, you know what? I do need to talk about it. When people do come to you and want to offer support, let them support you. Take the love, take the care. Also, don't be afraid to bring up the person's name who's gone, because just continuing the person's memory makes you feel like their life was worth living. In today's society, oftentimes we're told, oh, shh, don't bring it up, don't bring it up. When in actuality, it helps. It helps the people you're with, and it helps you.